Hey gang, welcome back to Joe Daddy's Workshop. I've said from the beginning that I'm going to do a variety of things on this channel, and this is going to be one of them. This is a 1998 Kawasaki Vulcan 1500. It belonged to a friend of mine, and he just sold it to me recently, and I have to do some work to it. Now, he's had this bike for quite some time. He's ridden this bike, and as we all get busy with life and distractions and taking care of family and all these things that take up our time, sometimes stuff like this gets neglected or has to sit, and eventually you have problems. So in this case, this bike has a problem with the gas tank. Because of the terrible gas that we have these days, we always have issues with corrosion and problems, with carburetors and different things. And this bike is no exception. So this bike has been sitting, as you can see, hopefully you see, I'll show you more, for quite a while. The tag on this bike, the last time it was registered on the road, is from 2004. And I know he's ridden the bike, on his street off and on over the years and tried to do things with it. But again, we get tied up with things and things get left behind, let's say. So as you can see, you could call it a garage find, a barn find, but 2004 on that tag, and it has these saddlebags that have gotten hard from time, but overall the bike is in really decent shape. It's got the bars on it, it has extra lights on it, has some nice mirrors and different things that have been added to it over the years from previous owners. And it has the running boards, so it's a really nice cruiser. But you can't go for a cruise if you have problems with your gas tank, and I'll show you more of that in just a minute. So as you can see, I have the tank on a stand in my garage, and I want to try to light up the inside. So I'll use my Braun flashlight from Harbor Freight. Really like these things. And you can see, hopefully see, there's a lot of rust inside this tank. And unfortunately all that has to come out. And I wish I could get in there a little tighter. There's the float for your fuel level indicator. But all that has to come out. And now to do this, I'm probably going to use a variety of things. For one, I'm going to use a pressure washer to break loose anything that may be in there. And along that process, I need to remove the gas door, the gas cap. I'll need to remove, you can just hear that stuff in there. That's the fuel sending unit, so I'll need to remove that. And I'll also remove the petcock, and that should be it. I'll remove any other secondary lines, but all those have to come off so that they don't get damaged, and when it gets treated it doesn't get affected. Now once I get that apart and pressure washed, I will probably go to my go-to rust dissolver, 3X Chemistry. It makes this, and I've used this on car parts, and it does a tremendous job. And it's available if you go to 3xchemistry.com. I think it's on Amazon, eBay, a variety of places. I think I bought this at Summit Racing. So I will use that to break down any of the rust inside the tank as best I can. And I may use a variety of things. I may put some 1/4 inch nuts, screws, bolts, little things like that I can shake around and help break stuff loose. We'll see how that goes. But then once that is completed and it's all dried out and everything, then I'm going to come back with this kit from POR15. Now this kit, believe it or not, I bought this many years ago. I used it to redo the gas tank on a 1931 Model A Ford that I restored. And they tell you in the instructions, once you finish with this, to let the can stay open and let it dry and throw it away. Well, obviously I didn't do that. So I still have this can, I opened this up yesterday and it's still liquid. It seems fine. So I will go through the process of using these various products. They have Marine Clean for cleaning the tank, and then Metal Ready for prepping the tank, and then the POR15 for lining the tank. So I'm going to get started and take things apart and then get the pressure washer out. So like I said, the first thing I want to do is remove the gas door or gas cap. So see if I can get these screws loose. And obviously don't want to drop those in the tank, so be careful with that. Okay, and it's got a little washer on there. It kind of looks like a little seal, I guess. Nope, there we go. Well, that came right off. And there are two seals, it appears, on the bottom of that as well. So I'll set that aside, and then I'm going to flip it over, and I want to remove the petcock. So in this case, this has two 10mm bolts, and they also have a Phillips head in them, or Phillips cutout. So let me try that, see if I can't get it loose with the Phillips. Nope. So we'll try the 10mm wrench. There we go. So I can break that loose at least. And then probably turn them with the screwdriver. Well, I know you can't smell it, but I can smell some really old gas in here. Save myself a little time. Pretty long bolt, actually. I'm going to carefully get that out of there. And now, those are screens. And you can see, oops, sorry. Those are screens. There's one short and one long. Those will obviously need some soaking and cleaning, but probably okay. They still have a little, little flexibility to them. So I think I can save those. Now I've got to figure out how to get this fuel pump off. Fuel float, fuel indicator. So it looks like it's got, I don't know, let me see what I can figure out here. I don't want to break it, obviously. Might need to get a screwdriver. Well, it's loose on one corner. I can get it loose on opposite corners. Let me see if I can't figure that out. Well, as it turns out, I just need to be a little bit more forceful, and it came right off. It's got four little clips on the corners that kind of hang on, so now I know. It's got four bolts that hold in the unit, and it's an 8mm, so I'm going to try to get those loose. Specialized bolt. It's got a long shank and threads. And you also note just that the wiring runs up the center of the tank here, so I know you probably can't put it in the wrong way. At least I would hope not. if I can't get that to come loose. There's not much I can pull on. I can hear the seal breaking loose. There we go. That's not pretty. We all know it got in there somehow. Ah, there it is. I wasn't holding my mouth right. Look at that. All right. Does it still move? Yeah. Not very well. I may have to put some solvent on that, try to clean that up, see if I can get it to work. But it's moving a little bit, so it might work out just fine, but ugly. Stinks. Okay, now other than taking off this little hose, which is just, should be pretty simple. Just pull that off. I think that's it. And now, it's time for the pressure washer. Alright, I've got earmuffs on, safety glasses, some gloves, and my toy belt pressure washer. Alright, so after pressure washing, and I let it set out in the sun for about an hour to try to bake out any water, this is, I'm going to say, an improvement. There's a lot of material removed, and now I'm going to try to use my 3X chemistry and see if that'll help get rid of what's left in there. Now, what I plan to do is tape off the lower two holes, the one for the float and then the one for the petcock on the other side, and I'll just dump some fluid in here and just kind of roll it around and let it get all over the tank as best I can, and then I'll take it outside and flush it out with a hose. That 3X chemistry can be neutralized with just water. Now what I did is I used foil tape so that would create a better seal. And I put that on both the openings on the bottom. And then I will use my rust dissolver. Obviously gloves, safety glasses, and a respirator. Here we go. probably don't really need the respirator at this point. Now I'm going to keep doing this for about 15 to 20 minutes and then I'll rinse it out. It's only been about 10 minutes, but I looked inside to see if there's any progress, and there was some, but there's still a lot of chunky stuff hanging on. So I dropped 6 or 7 3/8 bolts, about 3/4 of an inch long, and going to get boring. All right, I rinsed it out, and I'm beginning to think I may be attacking this a little bit in the wrong way, let's say, because what's in there may not actually be rust. This may just be gunk from the remnants of the gas. But even at that, it is improved. It did remove a bunch of junk in there. And I think those bolts made a big difference. Let's see if I can show you a better angle here. Yep. So that's an improvement. I think at this point, I still have the bolts in there, and those will be easy to get out. I can just take a magnet and put down in the hole and scoop those out when I move them onto this side. But I think the next thing I'm going to do, and I'll do it tomorrow, is use the Marine Clean. And that is in this jug right here. Now this says specifically to mix 1:1 with hot water. So I will do that, and I'll probably do this at least one time and try to get out any kind of residue that's still in there. But at this point I'm pretty happy with how it looks. I mean, it could probably be prepped and coated and be fine, but I want to try to get a little bit more out of there. Alright, so I'm going to try this Marine Clean. The instructions say to use the hottest water you can, so I'm going to use normal hot water out of my house, and I'm going to mix it. It says 1:1, and I'll do that. And I also have the tank sitting on the back of my truck right now soaking up the sun, so I'm trying to get some heat in the tank as well. So I'll get this mixed up and we'll see what happens. I decided I'm going to go a little less than 1:1, just as an experiment. This is probably closer to 2:1. Alright, so basically I'm just going to keep moving this around. No need to film all this. Well, it's been about 15 minutes or so. I'm going to flush that out. Actually, some had leaked out and left some streaks on this tank. Here you can see Ugly stuff. Well, let's have a look. That's a big improvement. I think I can live with that. Everything there is just kind of on the surface, and so there's the bolts doing their job, rattling around. I think they did a good job. So now the next step is going to be to use the metal ready. And this points out keep metal to remove rust, keep surface wet with metal ready for a minimum of 30 minutes. Alright, so I have rinsed this out like I showed. I blew it out with air. I had it sitting on the back of my truck in the sun, so it got plenty hot. I also had let it sit out for about an hour or so and blew it out some more and then let it sit longer, so essentially it's dry on the inside. I've also retaped the openings that are on the bottom. Thankfully my air conditioner just kicked off to the house. But I was reading this a little bit, and this Metal Ready, it actually says for lightly rusted stuff you could do this for 10 to 15 minutes. So what I'm going to do here is dump all this into the tank, and the instructions say right on the bottle, it says this can be reused. So I plan to salvage it in this old ice cream bucket, and then I'll put it back in the bottle. So I'm going to dump this in here, but first I'm going to put on my safety glasses. Alright, so that's the whole bottle, or what's left of the bottle that I had. So I'll remask this. And now what the instructions say to do is to move it around, let it coat the inside. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to repeat this several times. No reason to film it. You'll know what's going on. Alright, it's actually been more than half an hour. I got tied up answering some phone calls. So, I'm going to pull off that piece of tape and try to capture what I can, like I said, in this bucket. Boy, that's some dirty stuff right there. I don't know if you can see it. I know it's hard because I'm tilting this gas can or gas tank in the way. Just show you that. You see that? Kind of ugly. Don't know if I'm going to save this or not. And now we flush. I think you get the idea. All right, are you ready for this? Let's look in that tank. Oh, wow. Oh, look at that. I don't know if I can get it in there any tighter or not. Oh, that's beautiful in there. Look at that. A little bit of surface stuff, that'll be covered by the tank sealer. Sorry, I don't want to shake around trying to show you this, but it's kind of hard to aim through a hole in the tank. But yeah, that's fantastic. Okay, so now the plan will be that I will dry this out at least 24 hours. I want it as dry as it can be before I put in the sealer. So I'll put it out in the sun, let it bake, air blow, everything I can to get it dried out. In the meantime, I'm hoping this will work. I've taken the petcock apart and I'm soaking it in paint thinner. And it looks like it may be doing a little bit to that screen already. But we'll see. I think it'll be salvageable. Yeah, that screen's coming out a little bit. Okay. And then the other thing I want to try to do is clean up this float unit, or sending unit. And I think I'm going to try to brush off any of this junk that's on here. And I may brush on some of the rust dissolver and see if that cleans that up, because it's moving. It just has a bunch of rust on it. But I think maybe I can save that. We'll see. So this tank has been sitting on the back of Frankentruck and it sat out yesterday till the sun went down, and it's been sitting out here all morning. And I just want to show you the kind of temperatures, if I can get this on there. Yeah, 140 degrees, 135, 135. The top portion is a bit hotter, 148. So I know it may be hard to see, but that just tells you the kind of heat that you get just from direct sunlight. And I think that ultimately is going to be all I need to do to dry this out. There really can't be any more moisture in there. So I think I'm going to get ready and get that tank lined. Now, as I'm getting ready to put the liner into the tank, I wanted to show you how I plan to drain it. And I wanted to do this as a setup so that you could see. I just have some 4x4s, and on this side I have some other pieces of wood, and I don't know if you can tell or not, but the tank is leaning slightly to that side because the drain or the petcock is on that side. And so ideally you want your fluid to come out, at the lowest point, so you have to kind of be creative and make the lowest point. So what I want to do is tape off again these holes, this one up here as well where the float goes, and pour the material in. And the instructions say to rotate the tank around. You know, this isn't a big tank, so it shouldn't take that much effort. But you do all that, and ideally the temperature they want is 72 degrees, which I'm inside the shop with my AC on, so it's roughly around there, 72. And let it drain for at least 30 minutes to ensure the tank sealer is not puddled in the tank, and allow 96 hours for drying. Well, that's fine. I have no problem with that. But while I'm waiting, I'm going to be ordering some other stuff. As I was playing around with the petcock, yeah, I dropped it and I got to looking at it and I decided I'm just going to buy a new one. Now, they sell these on Amazon, but unfortunately, the ones they show, instead of having the fuel inlet to the front of the motorcycle, they have it to the back. And from the complaint, or from responses I read on their comments on Amazon, everybody said that it won't fit in this particular motorcycle, at least not without having to make a new hose or something. So I went on eBay and I found one, and for like 10 bucks I can get one of these. So it's just not worth my time to try to salvage this, so that's going to get scrapped. The float I will work on and see if I can't save it, but at this point I want to get ready and dump in the sealer. Alright, so I have a funnel, I have my tank sealer, and a respirator, paint stick, mix up my sealer, and of course safety glasses and a little tool to open up the lid. So I'm going to gear up and get this thing started. Now I'm going to let that sit for a little bit, and then I'll repeat that tumble some more. I may take the cap off so I can see the coating on the inside, but I'm going to need to film this, but I'll just keep on doing that for the next 20 minutes or so. As you can see, I've tilted the tank up on what would be the left rear corner, and I hope that would allow for all the liquid, the paint, sealer, whatever, to work its way down to that corner, so that when I put it up on the blocks, it'll have less area, less distance to travel to get to the drain. Hopefully that works. Okay, so I have the tank set up again, slightly leaned, and I've got the foil there that I can pull loose. So I'm gonna put my respirator back on and pull that foil and try to capture the remainder of the sealant. Well, I've managed to get most of it out, and I'm still trying to get any kind of puddles out, but it looks like it did a pretty good job coating that. There you can see. If I can zoom in at all. Get it to focus, yeah. Try not to get any residual paint on my flashlight. Yep, I think it turned out good. I don't know if I can get high enough now. So I'm going to continue to move it around and get the rest of that sealer out of there and move on to the drying phase, which says 96 hours, and I'll let it sit for 96 hours. All right, I think I'm going to make this a two-part series. So this will be part one, and there's just too much going on right now for me to complete this task in one video. I think I've shared some good information as to at least how I approached the gunk and the junk that was inside this tank. I like this POR15 product. I think it's going to work out just fine, but it's going to be 4 days before I can do anything else with this, so I will do a part two. In the meantime, that gives me some time to get parts for this, the petcock, clean up the fuel sending unit, and I may do some coverage on that, I don't know. But I think that's enough for this particular segment. So I thank you for watching. I thank you for subscribing. If you haven't, please do. That helps this channel grow and encourages me to make more videos. I will point out that I do have an Amazon page. So if you're looking for some products or some ideas, check out my page. You may find something you like, and I'll post a link in the description. And beyond that, I think that's it. So again, thanks for watching, and until next time, take care of yourselves.
Other things to do, so start.
Well, I think that's going to be the end of this video. And this will obviously be part one. No, 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 no. Well, 6 hours, so you can do the math on that. It's 4 days. And